Start the recording.
Oh,
Now we
Didn't mean
will
to cut you
officially
off.
reconvene the ERC board meeting. Let me take roll real quick again. Okay. Yuji here, Celeste,
Here.
Kathy,
Here.
Holly,
Here.
Angie,
Here.
Linda,
Here.
Jackie,
Here.
Megan,
Here.
Rayon.
Here.
You all made it. Okay. Wonderful. To recap, we had no public testimony. We approved the minutes. We approved the consent calendar. We approved data 1 and extension 1, UH 80. We have approved proposal 1, UH 114, proposal 2, UH 115, and proposal 3, UH 116.
And can we confirm these were all unanimous? Or were there any?
There were no oppositions, because I did ask for each one.
Just for the record.
Yes, for the record, they were unanimous approvals. All right. Okay, so we're back to where we were. So proposal 4, including remote access request UTD 233, the alignment of industry-based certifications to CTE course taking and occupational needs. I'm here to talk to us about this one.
Hi, yes, thank you for considering our proposal. I'm Holly Hurd with Texas 2036. This project is a joint project with UTRGV and UT El Paso. And this is supported by Lone Star P3, the Education Research Practice Policy Network's research agenda focused on workforce aligned instruction. And the goal is to investigate the provision of industry-based certifications in high school and to determine how well they're aligned or misaligned with career preparation course taking, specifically the programs of study within CTE, and to determine how well by both statewide and at district and regional levels, how well are IBCs aligned to the actual coursework that students are provided with. In addition, we're interested in determining how well these IBCs are aligned with statewide and particularly local workforce needs. So using external aggregated data crosswalks that align programs of study to occupational projections of high wage and high need occupations. We can then link the IBCs to the programs of study to the occupational projections to determine if these IBCs are preparing students for the jobs of the future. And then finally, we would like to investigate with some of our cohorts wage attainment to determine if these IBCs are or if any IBCs, and if so, which ones are preparing students to make self-sustaining wages within 2 years after graduating high school. And the research is motivated by many of the policy impacts. For example, the TA and the state of Texas has invested a great deal in providing IBCs by supporting and reimbursing districts for the IBCs that students pass and attain. In addition, IBC attainment is an indicator of students' career readiness within the CCMR framework as part of the A through F accountability system. And so we think it's important that we understand the impact of IBCs, the alignment to actual course taking, and how well IBCs are actually preparing students for occupational needs. And I should note that this is part of a broader project that also includes a qualitative component in which my colleagues will be interviewing both districts, employers, and members of workforce development boards in the RGV region and in the El Paso region, because we're particularly interested in the impacts of this around the border. And that's it. I'll take some questions.
Great, thank you. Questions or comments from the board? I appreciated the clear research questions. really easy to follow. There are no questions or comments. Do I have a motion to approve?
This is Rayan. I move to approve.
Have a second?
This is Kathy. I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to proposal 5, including remote access request UTD 234, the cost of searching for financial aid. Want to talk about this one?
Hello.
Hi, welcome.
Hi. Thanks for having me. My name is Nathan. I'm a PhD student in economics at Washington University in St. Louis. So the motivation for our project draws from 2 intersecting issues. The first is called financial aid uncertainty. So in the US, when students decide where they're going to apply for college, they have to do so without knowing how much those schools would offer them in financial aid. And so this creates this kind of high-stakes guessing game that disproportionately affects low-income and underrepresented students. The second issue is called undermatching. Research has documented a pattern of undermatching, which is where high-achieving students from disadvantaged backgrounds tend to enroll in less selective colleges than they're academically qualified to attend. This mismatch can limit their educational and long-run economic opportunity. And so the objective of my research project is to study the degree to which financial aid uncertainty is causing undermatching. This is because students may avoid applying to select colleges if they don't know whether or not those schools would be affordable to them. One of the core challenges is that admissions and aid decisions usually come bundled, right? So when a student is applying to college, they face 2 sources of uncertainty at the same time, whether or not they're getting in and how much financial aid they would get. Historically, when researchers have studied college application behavior, it's been particularly difficult for them to disentangle the effects of these 2 sources of uncertainty. My project would uniquely address this challenge by leveraging the top 10% rule. Because these students already know that they're getting accepted, their application decisions become a window into how financial aid uncertainty specifically is influencing application behavior. So I'd first use a difference in difference approach to examine whether students who qualified for automatic admission had different application behaviors than those who didn't. And then seeking to build a structural economic model to simulate the effects of hypothetical policies that could simplify access to financial aid. I believe that Texas legislators and policymakers would benefit from this research, which offers empirical evidence on how the complexity of the financial aid process is affecting college application behavior. These insights are particularly relevant for evaluating second-order effects of the top 10% rule and for shaping broader equity-oriented educational policies across the state. University admissions and financial aid offices, as well as high school advisors and counselors, can also benefit. A clearer understanding of financial aid uncertainty can inform efforts to improve outreach, refine financial aid communications, and help redesign application procedures in a way that reduces barriers for prospective students. Thank you again for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Great, thank you. Questions or comments from the board? Researcher. Excited to see what you find. Okay, there are no questions. Do I have a motion to approve?
This is Kathy. I move to approve.
I'll second Celeste.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Yep. Moving on to proposal 6, including remote access requests UTD 235, evaluation of the increasing dual enrollment access and success ideas model in Texas. Anyone here to talk about this one?
Yep, that's me. Hi, everybody. My name's Kyle Nearing. I'm an economist at the American Institutes for Research. I'm joining this work by Chrissy Zeiser, who's principal researcher, though she's out on PTO today, so I'm representing us. The point of our project is centered around this increasing dual enrollment access and success model, with what we'll refer to as ideas. The kind of background motivation is obviously dual enrollment has been growing in popularity a lot across the country and particularly in Texas. But the landscape of dual enrollment across the country continues to kind of rely on these unique one-off agreements between post-secondary institutions and the districts that they're serving. The IDEAS model was designed by our study partner, Jobs for the Future, to improve operating efficiencies and create kind of economies of scale in the provision of dual enrollment. There's a lot of aspects to this, but a couple core ones to do this. The IDEAS model establishes a centralized dual enrollment hub at the community college, which streamlines dual enrollment administration and tries to improve student outcomes by providing, like I said, a number of things, but a couple of the core ones are there's centralized dual enrollment course offerings, instructor staffing plans, aligned course schedules to kind of maximize students' access to the courses. There's program of study maps that are developed to inform students and their families about dual enrollment offerings and how they align with local career opportunities. There's improved advising and student supports. There's personalized student recruitment and family engagement. That's kind of the crux of the model. I'll say this is an ongoing 5-year study that was funded by Department of Education under an EIR expansion grant. We're in year 2 of the study, but I'll note that the entire 5 years of funding has been granted already. So there's not like a risk of the funding being turned off for the study. The goal of the study is to assess the impact of the IDEAS model on high school outcomes, such as like the number of dual enrollment credit units earned during high school, persistence, on-time high school graduation, things like that, and also post-secondary outcomes like college enrollment, persistence, post-secondary degree attainment. The study utilizes a RCT that is implementing IDEAS at 4 community colleges across 3 states. 2 of those community colleges are in Texas, or Amarillo Community College and San Jacinto Community College. The RCT is assigning access to the IDEAS Hub to school districts within each community college. So our study is requesting ERC access to assess the extent to which IDEAS improves these high school and post-secondary outcomes for students in treatment districts in Texas. We'll also assess whether the effect is stronger for different student populations and lengths of exposure and other types of contextual factors. We think this will be beneficial to Texas in a number of ways. Obviously, TA and THECB have established this Talent Strong Texas initiative. House Bill 8 might hopefully be improving these dual enrollment participation among Texas students, but organizational changes at the community colleges, like the ones that we're trying to implement under IDEAS, may also have the potential to produce additional improvements in both participation and success. So our analysis will provide policymakers with some information about how those organizational structures might influence engagement and success in Texas. The findings will provide evidence on the effectiveness of IDEAS for targeted student subgroups as they're defined in Texas state policy context. And also, as part of the project, JFF will be providing training to educate Texas on how to engage with and train community colleges on the implementation of IDEAS. So if we find that IDEAS is particularly effective at improving some of these outcomes, the state will kind of already be well positioned to expand the program and extend the benefits to other community colleges that choose to participate in the future. So yeah, that's it. If you all have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board?
Yes, I see that you requested TWC wage data, but I didn't see anywhere in the research questions or in the broader proposal how that would be used. It looked like it's mostly school-related outcomes.
Yeah, so we are focusing on school-related outcomes, but one challenge in identifying a lot of these post-secondary outcomes is students who leave the state. There's kind of this chunk of their students who attend community college and higher education and other higher education within Texas. We can identify those. And outside of that, if we're only looking at post-secondary information, we're missing 2 groups of students or 2 groups of people. One who do not pursue secondary education and go just to the workforce, potentially in Texas, and others who transfer outside of the state to go to a college. without knowing who is earning wages within Texas, those two groups kind of get fused in our sample, and it's hard to disentangle which is which. So by getting the wage data, we can at least identify who's staying within Texas and not going to college. Does that make sense?
Yes, I don't know. It may be that it was in the proposal. I didn't see that. I don't know if it just needs to be clarified somewhere, if it isn't already.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think that'd be helpful to have more of a proposal to be clear how you'll use the TWC data, since it's not in the research question currently, or it's not easily connectable to
Got it.
the research question. Any other questions or comments?
I had a comment about you mentioning about on the proposal that you guys are requesting WB to obtain SAT or ACT testing data. And I just want to mention that WB is focused on universities, and knowing that your study focuses on Amarillo and the other cities, I just wanted to highlight that WB is focused on universities.
Thanks, Eugene.
Were you needing SAT, ACT scores for the students at the community colleges, or was that for that other group you were talking about who goes on to 4-year? To make sure you have the data you need if.
Sorry, I'm saying, are you talking about students who would be coming from outside of the state to join those colleges and bringing SAT scores with them?
No, it's just that the B, you mentioned using those scores from the WOB, but those are only collected for students who apply to universities.
I see. Yeah, we were hoping to potentially consider like SAT and ACT participation in high school, but that's not a primary outcome if that's not available. That's okay.
Is the 2 on the list? I mean, the only other thing I can think of is using the CBM 002, which sometimes, depending on. Might want to add that one if it's not.
So Kyle, I guess the question is, do you want any data that could give you some understanding of the students' preparation for college if they go into community college?
Yeah.
So we would want to add the CBM 002 in the data
Okay.
table. Okay.
Is it on there already, or is this?
It's on there. It
It's
is
on
on
there.
there.
Okay,
Okay,
great.
so we're good. We're good. Okay.
Oh, okay, cool.
I was like, I'm pretty sure I identified.
Good to know.
That's great.
Okay.
Yeah, but just, I'm glad Eugene mentioned that, because if you're using just the B to find that information, you'll lose everyone who doesn't apply to a.
Got it.
School.
Got it.
Great. Any other questions or comments? Great, if there aren't any, do I have a motion to approve with the amendment to add the justification for the wage records?
This is Angie. I'll move to approve with that amendment.
This is Holly, I second.
Great, all in favor?
Aye.
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 So,
Any opposed? 1 second, sorry.
okay.
Motion passes. I want to make sure we get that on the books.
All right,
Sorry.
So we just send that to you, Melissa, for final approval, correct?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's approved with that amendment, so it just needs.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I
Yeah.
have that clear. Okay, thank you.
So I should just add a short justification, then pass that to
To Holly.
Holly. Okay. I can do that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Great, moving on to proposal 7, including remote access request UTA 272. Evaluating the impact of school resources on student development, evidence from Texas public schools. Is someone here to talk about this one?
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Simone Matekna. Thank you for having me here today to hear my proposal. I am a third-year graduate student in Harvard's Health Policy PhD program, and I'm also representing my 2 mentors, Professors Mark Shepard and Nicole Mastis. And we are here to talk about our project today, which aims to quantify how health investments in Texas schools, such as nurses, health services, instructional staff, and budget priorities related to health investments can affect the health, education, and long-term economic outcomes of Texas students. So we aim to link detailed individual data from the ERC to Medicaid health records that our research team has on hand with the National Bureau of Economic Research. And with this, we'll be able to compare both individual and across cohort changes in outcomes for schools that add or lose services, such as a school nurse, to similar schools that did not see these changes. And this will allow us to produce causal evidence for the ways in which school-based health investments can influence important life outcomes, including eligibility for programs like Social Security income. And our work contributes to this body of literature, which shows that schools can serve as crucial access points for health and social services, such as what was demonstrated during the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as prior correlational evidence that shows that having school nurses can improve both student health and parent productivity. And we're going to use these data to identify the causal effect of changes in staffing and services on both short and long-term outcomes for students. And in terms of benefits to the state of Texas, our work aims to produce state-specific evidence on the value of investments for things like on-site nurses, health centers, and Medicaid reimbursement for services. So we'll examine which services work best for different student populations, factoring in state policies like the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, which supported training programs for nurses in Texas, receipt of the elementary and secondary school emergency relief funds received during the pandemic, as well as curriculum standards and accountability systems. And understanding the value of these resources is particularly relevant for Texas policymakers, which have recently seen a legislative push towards mandating the presence of school nurses amidst rising care costs and broader national shifts to reduce state financing tools for Medicaid. And we believe that this work qualifies for a FERPA exemption, and I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Questions or comments from the board?
Yes, I see where you requested residence and employment county from the TWC wage data. And it looks like that's in there, but it's not actually accurate. So I would warn you not to use that data.
Okay, thank you. I will make a note of that.
You're welcome.
I would, because this is can be pretty sensitive information that you'd be bringing in, do think we need this information you gave in our template, in our required template that gives a little more detail about these elements. You know, in the template, it includes things like, you know, ranges, what values are in there, which specific research question each variable that you want to bring in applies to. And right now we can't quite get that information from how you've provided it in the supplemental data.
Yes, I can certainly provide more details on each and every data variable. I think, you know, when I submitted the supplemental data dictionary, I meant it to be more of a baseline. And of course, it may be the case that another variable becomes necessary, or that one variable becomes, you know, not as predictive as another variable. And so I think I had meant it to be more of like a baseline, but I can certainly go ahead and put together more information on each of those variables, as well as other potential variables that could be used.
Yeah, because as it's approved today, if you end up wanting to add another one later, kind of starts the process over again. So we want to make sure at the front end, we get as much information.
And I will say part of it's my fault because we didn't, I didn't have that supplemental new example of what you want in the data dictionary, so I can certainly share that with
Using
you.
it last meeting, so that's why I was confused.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think we do need this in the music club.
okay, I'll send that to him.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Okay, there are no other questions or comments. Do I have a motion to approve with the amendment to put the supplemental variables in the new template?
Well, I'll move to approve with the supplemental data details added.
Have a second?
This is Kathy. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. All right, moving on to proposal 8, including remote access requests, UTA 273. The role of school, sorry. These are something like this. Oh, is it removed? No? Okay, sorry. Redirect. Proposal 8, including remote access requests, UTA 273, the role of school efficacy and peer effects in facilitating upward mobility of low-income students. Want to talk about this one?
Hi all, I'm Juhi. Thank you for considering my proposal. I'm a student at Harvard College writing a senior thesis advised by a professor in the econ department here, Professor Amanda Palais, who is not here today, but I'm here to present my project. So this project focuses broadly on educational factors that correlate with local economic opportunity in Texas, especially for low-income students. I start from the well-known fact that there are large disparities across neighborhoods in the kinds of opportunities available to children. For example, the same low-income students do drastically differently later in life, depending on the neighborhood that they were raised in. So my first research question is understanding early educational indicators that inform why we see these different neighborhood effects on children. I'm mainly going to be looking at what I call school efficacy in an area, defined as the ability of schools in a neighborhood to improve educational outcomes. A crude measure of this could be test score value add. So how much do students' test scores improve in a given school? But existing research has found that test score improvements are not actually strongly correlated with SES. Using the rich student level data in the Texas ERC, I plan to find more nuanced measures of school efficacy, things like teacher quality, college going rates by neighborhood. The ultimate goal is to understand the key drivers of local economic opportunity, which has been a policy focus of Texas more broadly for some time. For this first research question, I will pull on test scores and attendance data, and to see how these educational factors correlate with longer run wages and college going. I will also use the UI data from the TWC as well as the higher education data. The second part of the project focuses on the role of peer effects on outcomes of low-income students. There's been some existing work finding evidence that happening to be in a high school classroom with slightly higher SES peers can improve even long-run wages and college going of low-income students. I want to look at these same peer effects, but in higher education. That is, do higher quality peers improve effort, the kind of classes that students take, the kinds of occupations that they choose. Similar to other papers, the unit of variation here might be that you happen to end up in the same classes or section or major as higher SES peers, seeing whether this has an effect on their long-run outcomes. I believe this is valuable research for Texas higher education because policymakers want to understand not just how to get low-income students' foot in the door, but also the kinds of networks and opportunities that are open to students when they get to college. And I think one important use of large administrative data sets like this, where I observe student background, test scores, and decisions, is to find these important factors that may contribute to opportunity. Hence, I believe this project also meets the requirements of the audit and evaluations FERPA exemption. That's it on my end. Thanks for listening and considering my proposal. Happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments from the board?
Yes, you didn't specifically request the county level data that's in the wage files, but I noticed you're using some other county level data for other fields. So I just wanted to make it clear, as with the last researcher, that that data is inaccurate in the wage file, so don't use that county data.
Right, so you're referring to the county and the TWC as being the headquarter location, right? Not the actual location of work.
Yeah, it's a little too vague, so it's not truly representative of where the person was employed or where they lived. So yeah, it's just not usable. I didn't see where you specified that, but you are using some other county level data, so I just wanted to make sure you knew not to use that one.
Gotcha. I think I'm mainly using like where kids grew up, so the location of their schools primarily. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I ask this is Juhi, am I pronouncing your name correctly? I want to make sure. Juhi, thank you. Juhi, sorry. This is not Juhi about your proposal, which I think is very well written and presented. Can someone just help remind me? I have a vague memory that we put boundaries on minimal credentials to access the ERC data at some point, and maybe this was surfaced in the remote access conversation, talking about at least a master's level student. And without comment on the efficacy of this project, I just want to ask that question. And maybe my memory is really wrong.
No, this was on our list of questions to ask about, like a advisor. Is there a faculty advisor that would also be requesting access to this data as you work through it? Because that's usually how it has gone in the past.
I mean,
Yes.
that they're advising my thesis, but is it necessary that she's not going to be working directly with the data? So should she also be added to the proposal? Is that the okay? Is it possible
Sorry,
to
one second. Yeah, we're thinking about 1 second. Trying to think about how we've done it in the past.
With some tiers.
Yeah.
Somebody. Just a bachelor's.
Yeah. I mean, I think we can.
Others.
Okay, I think we can move forward for now, and if we need to work with Celeste on this, we'll get back in touch. But yeah, that was the question we had about working with or how, whether your advisor would be in the data or you're just meeting with them as you move forward, but I think for now we can move forward.
Experience and skill.
Yeah.
Necessary.
Great. Other questions or comments? Right, if there are none, do I have a motion to approve?
This is Kathy. I move to approve.
This is Holly. I second.
Great, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to proposal 9, including remote access request UTA 274. Analyzing the short and long-term impacts of air and water pollution exposure and mitigation policies on student outcomes. Someone here to talk about this one.
Hello. Good
Hi.
afternoon.
Welcome.
Thank you for the opportunity to present my research proposal. My name is Mu Young Shin. I'm a PhD student in economics at UT Austin. My research investigates the social costs of low-level pollution exposure on children's human capital accumulation. The direct health effects of pollution are well documented, but its subtle long-term impact on academic performance and the educational disparity is less understood. My study aims to quantify how everyday low-level exposure to air and water pollution affects student outcomes in Texas and exacerbates existing educational gaps. To do this, I'll link the ERC student and school data with publicly available data sets on air and water pollutants at the school, city, or county level. I'll leverage variation in pollution exposure from sources such as wind patterns, naturally occurring groundwater contamination, and city-level decisions regarding water fluoridation. This will allow me to isolate the causal effect of pollution on student achievement. The second part of my research will evaluate the effectiveness of mitigation policies, such as the electrification of school buses. Nearly 28% of Texas students rely on school buses daily, most of which have traditionally been diesel powered. But with Texas now among the top states nationally in funding the transition to electric school buses, this shift provides a great opportunity for analysis. By investigating the staggered adoption of these policies across different schools and districts, I'll try to estimate their benefits for students. This analysis is possible with the Texas ERC data for 3 reasons. First, its longitudinal nature, as you know, allows me to construct an individual level history of childhood pollution exposure, which is typically not feasible in other settings. Second, by linking academic records to adult wage data, I can measure not only the short-term effects on test scores and attendance, but also the long-term impact on human capital. Finally, the comprehensiveness of the data enables a detailed analysis of heterogeneous effects across demographics, which is crucial for understanding how pollution disproportionately affects different student populations. Ultimately, this project aims to provide evidence-based insights to inform policy decisions. The findings can be applied to school siting criteria, facility upgrades, and other mitigation strategies, allowing for more comprehensive cost-benefit analysis of environmental policies that directly benefit the students and residents of Texas. Thank you for your time and consideration, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
I'll just offer a comment that there was a project in the UH-ERC that was in complement to what you're studying by folks out of Texas A&M. So if you have any interest in connecting with them, I'd be happy to do that.
Oh, okay. That'd be great. Thank you.
Questions or comments? There are none. Do I have a motion to approve?
This is Megan. I motion to approve.
Yep. Have a second.
This is Angie. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. For being here today.
Thank you.
All right, so agenda item 8 is removed from the agenda. So now we're on to agenda item 9, adjournment. Do I have a motion and a second to adjourn?
Yes. I motion.
Okay,
I second, Jackie.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks, everyone.